Depicting majesty and power through iconic symbols, mythical deities, pharaohs, and groundbreaking technological innovations that altered the course of history, we have grown accustomed to regard Egypt and Sumer as the earliest and most sophisticated civilizations ever recorded. Nevertheless, modern scientific investigations suggest that a mysterious ancient civilization situated between India and Pakistan preceded these remarkable cultures. This civilization, referred to as the Harappan or Indus Valley Civilization, is estimated to be approximately 9,000 years old. This ancient society accomplished numerous milestones that put it ahead of its time, such as creating intricate water supply systems, constructing two-story houses, and designing complex pools. It did all of this long before any other nation had developed the technology to do so. Remarkably, in the entire duration of its existence, the Indus Valley Civilization never went to war. However, around 1300 BC, the civilization vanished abruptly. All that remained in the wake of its mysterious disappearance were scorched rocks and buildings, as if they had been subject to a powerful explosion. The area where the civilization had flourished appeared to be contaminated with radiation, and the streets were littered with the remnants of the society's inhabitants, as if they had been taken by surprise by an unanticipated catastrophe. The enigma of its disappearance has led some scholars to consider the possibility that the Indus Valley Civilization could have perished in a nuclear war. But how could a weapon that was only invented in 1945 be the cause of the disappearance of a whole civilization? 2 centuries ago, a curious explorer named Charles Masson journeyed to the Punjab province in what we now call Pakistan. There, he stumbled upon the remains of a once prosperous ancient city. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that this city was Harappa, one of the capital cities of the Indus Valley Civilization. The city dates back as far as the Bronze Age, having been established in 2600 BC. However, deeper excavations revealed that the civilization's earliest settlements existed there as early as the 7th millennium BC. The Indus Valley Civilization's territory encompassed the entirety of the Indus River Valley, with an area of approximately 1 million square kilometers. At its peak, the civilization had a population of almost 5 million people, which is greater than the combined populations of its 3 contemporaries, Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, and ancient China. Nearly a century has passed since the unearthing of Harappa. The world has witnessed yet another extraordinary discovery in the field of archaeology. In 1922, a team of archaeologists discovered another capital city of the Indus Valley Civilization, Mohenjo-Daro. Situated close to the Indus River, this ancient city stands out as an impressive example of urban planning and rapidly gained widespread recognition as the most prominent Harappan city. While a team of archaeologists discovered the remains of Mohenjo-Daro in 1911, it was Sir John Marshall, the Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, who led systematic excavations from the 1920s to the 1930s. Initially, the archaeologists were uncertain about what to name the city, but as they found scattered skeletons throughout the streets and houses, they ultimately christened it Mohenjo-Daro, which translates to the Mound of the Dead. By the standards of the 2nd millennium BC, it was a city ahead of its time, boasting some impressive inventions that are still in use today. The residents of this city possessed expertise not only in urban planning but also in agriculture, metallurgy, and written language. The city's layout consisted of organized grids, and each house included distinct rooms for different activities. One of the most notable achievements of the Indus Valley Civilization was their mastery of water control. It's easy to assume that populations from over 4,000 years ago used crude methods to manage water and meet their various needs, such as transporting water in buckets or using holes in the ground as toilets. However, this was not the case for the Harappan civilization. The houses were equipped with a plumbing system and a separate sewage system that ensured water circulated efficiently throughout the city. Furthermore, the city boasted over 700 water wells and an intricate sewage system that facilitated the harmonious flow of water. The city was divided into 2 parts, with the lower part being residential and the streets being built in a uniform pattern from north to south and east to west. Along the buildings, there were jugs used for disposing of waste, which was similar to modern-day garbage cans. The upper part, known as the citadel, was an architectural marvel that included a grain silo and a trading quarter. It was also in this part that they constructed a great bath, spanning 900 square feet, that they filled by pumping water from the Indus River. Remarkably, this structure predates the well-known Roman baths, which were built around 70 BC by over 2,500 years. It turned out that this lost civilization implemented one of the earliest known sanitary systems in the world. Despite its impressive advancements, Mohenjo-Daro was not built to protect itself from enemy invasions, but rather to safeguard against floods. The city was surrounded by a high wall, and historians believe that in case of danger, the citizens could take shelter in the citadel. Interestingly, the Indus civilization did not possess any weapons or an army, yet it engaged in active trade with its neighboring civilizations, such as Mesopotamia. Mesopotamian tablets from 2600 BC mention trade with a faraway land that brought gold, silver, and copper to Mesopotamia. This indicates that the Indus civilization had a prosperous commercial fleet and developed cities with precious metal mines. Despite its wealth, the Indus civilization did not become a target for any invaders, and historians suggest that its leaders had mastered the art of diplomacy. Despite attempts to explain the sudden disappearance of the Indus civilization in 1300 BC, the exact cause remains a mystery. The most widely accepted explanations can be divided into two camps. The first theory is that the cities were invaded and their inhabitants were massacred by outsiders. This theory gained traction due to the discovery of human skeletons found in the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro when excavations began in the 1920s. These remains were found in strange positions, leading some experts to believe that they were victims of an unconventional burial ritual or were attempting to flee from something or someone. However, while some have attributed these deaths to ancient Aryan invaders, there is a lack of evidence to support the theory, such as signs of burned fortresses or remains of weapons and armor. On the other hand, some researchers believe that the end of the Indus Valley Civilization was due to more natural means, such as a flood or severe drought. Researchers believed that this natural disaster continued over time and that the inhabitants endured as much as they could, even changing a large part of their diet as evidenced by the food found in the area. However, a new theory was proposed when researcher David Davenport studied the excavation site of the 40 bodies in 1977. He found a hollow 50 meters in diameter where the rocks inside appeared to have melted and turned into a glassy mass. The temperatures required for this kind of transformation are estimated to be at least 1500 degrees Celsius, leading some to believe that an explosion on par with that of a nuclear bomb occurred in Mohenjo-Daro. In Rajasthan, northwest India, archaeologists made a remarkable discovery, a layer of radioactive dust. This discovery is only 700 kilometers away from Mohenjo-Daro, where a radioactive cloud could have traveled such a distance after a nuclear explosion. Traces of radiation were also found in the city itself. Researchers measured the radiation background of some of the body remains and found out it was 50 times above normal. Furthermore, the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata mentions a powerful explosion with the brilliance of 10,000 suns that could burn entire nations. All signs point to a nuclear explosion in Mohenjo-Daro that occurred thousands of years before nuclear power plants and weapons were invented. However, how is this possible? The mystery might be solved by looking into the Oklo uranium deposit in Gabon, Africa. In 1972, uranium processing plant workers in France noticed that the ore from the Oklo mine was slightly different. All deposits on Earth store the same amount of uranium, 235, which always makes up 0.720% of the material's mass. However, Oklo contained 0.003% less than that. This means that uranium was somehow stripped of around 200 kilograms of uranium, 235, enough to make almost 5 nuclear bombs. But where could this uranium isotope have gone? Professor of chemistry at the University of Arkansas, Polk Rowe, calculated that 2 billion years ago, the proportion of uranium-235 in the deposit was as high as 3%. This was enough to turn the Oklo mine into a natural nuclear reactor. Rowe assumed that such a reactor operated in cycles. When groundwater reaches the deposit, it would turn on for half an hour. When the water evaporated because the reactor heated up, the process stopped, resuming again after about 2.5 hours. These cycles went on for 500,000 years, and during that time about 10 tons of uranium-235 decayed in the Oklo natural reactor. Assuming that such a reactor existed somewhere close to Mohenjo-Daro, it might have caused the nuclear explosion that destroyed the Indus civilization. Interestingly, the nuclear explosion in Mohenjo-Daro may not have been an accident. 1,000 years after the disappearance of the Indus civilization, the ruler of the Maurya Empire, which emerged in its place, decided to create a secret society. Ashoka believed that some secret knowledge from the past could destroy his empire. Thus, he summoned the 9 wisest people in his empire to write 9 books that contained all breakthrough knowledge of the past and present. These 9 books covered a wide range of topics, including microbiology, cosmology, physiology, gravity, sociology, propaganda, light, communication, and alchemy. The information recorded in these books was so ahead of its time that some of the things described are even more advanced than what modern scientists know today. If the 9 unknown men actually possessed knowledge about radiation and stored the information from the books for centuries, it's not surprising that people at the time of the end of civilization could use radioactive decay and radiation for their benefit. It's possible that the Indus civilization had the first prototypes of nuclear weapons, which would explain many historical inconsistencies, such as the absence of an army or defensive structures in Mohenjo-Daro. After all, why build defensive walls and feed hundreds of soldiers if you have a weapon that can obliterate your enemy's entire army? Furthermore, the discovery of a post-explosion crater in one of the main cities of the Indus civilization raises the likelihood of their enemies possessing nuclear weapons in their arsenals. If indeed the Indus civilization vanished due to a nuclear weapon, we're not entirely sure. However, experts agree that the key to unraveling most of the civilization's mysteries lies in decoding its scripts, which are still a puzzle to this day. Ceramic tablets, also known as seals, have been recovered that depict various animals, deities, and symbols. But the meaning of the strange hieroglyphs and the purpose of the tablet remains unsolved. This prompted a $10,000 cash prize to anyone who can decipher a Harappan text of around 50 characters since 2004. However, no one has managed to crack the code yet. While hundreds of symbols belonging to the Harappan people have been found on a large number of craft objects of all kinds, including ceramic and metal handcrafts, the majority of these symbols depict animal and human figures. Some experts believe that the symbols represent a series of seals used for commercial transactions. However, the short length of the inscriptions, with only 4 or 5 symbols drawn on small surfaces about an inch long, is a major challenge for decoding the script. Even the longest-known Harappan script doesn't reach 30 characters, which is much shorter than the writing systems of other ancient civilizations. The absence of any multilingual inscription is another significant hurdle in deciphering the Indus Valley texts. This means that there are no texts written in 2 or more known and unknown languages that convey the same message. The Rosetta Stone is a perfect example of how multilingual inscriptions can help in deciphering ancient scripts. It contains text written in 2 forms of Egyptian script and 1 in ancient Greek script, which greatly aided in decoding the language of ancient Egypt. Unfortunately, such an inscription has not been discovered in the case of the Indus Valley Civilization. One thing we do know for certain is that the Indus Valley Civilization came to an end around 1700 BCE. If you'd like to try solving those Harappan scripts, smash that subscribe button until our next story.